gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
And as you will hear throughout the football season, we're going to be joined here on Wednesdays by the voices of BC football. That is Kenny, Calvin, and Rob Chavez. Gentlemen, I'm pretty sure you're probably being heard on the stream, so thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. How does the season look for you guys this year? Any big names that you're expecting to really shine out?
Well, I'm definitely excited for the quarterback situation. Can you guys hear me now?
I got Kenny. There we go. We got Kenny.
Boom! Okay, Robert, you might want to check that speaker option on that drop down with the microphone. But the most exciting thing for me is seeing guys like Carson Woods come back to town. Our record-setting quarterback from the state championship Liberty team. He went out to North Texas, but he's back. And we have a very interesting situation because Malachi Statler, the former Frontier Titan, who played very well last year, is also here. So it's going to be an exciting quarterback room as well as the running back room. I'm a defensive guy, but I definitely got to start off with the excitement in the quarterback room.
So we talked about this last time you were on the show, Kenny, the possibility of BC running a 2-quarterback system. Is that still kind of on the table here? Are we kind of dancing around that still with the quarterback situation?
During the scrimmage last week at the end was one of my favorite moments when Rob and I were approached by Coach Seth Dameron, one of my former players who's now back in the Renegade fold. Immediately at the end of the game, he took his hat off, he wiped his forehead. He said, "Guys, I don't know what I'm going to do." Both of them are playing very well. None of them had any negative reps. And you can see the stress on his face. So immediately, I go in, I say, "Hey, Seth, isn't that a great problem to have? We had years where we didn't have a quarterback at all, couldn't get first downs. We would go 2 for 18 on third down conversions in games, right? Now we actually have 2 guys that can move the football downfield. They're not scared to make big throws. So, hey, if you have to figure it out series by series, that might be a good problem for us because I'd rather have that than the quarterbacks we had when we were going 3 for 18 on third down conversion."
This is absolutely.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah, no, I got you now, Rob. We're absolutely. And actually, I was going to go to you next, so I'm glad we got the audio working here. We heard from Kenny on what he's excited for. What are you excited for going into this season? And my side question as well, with every great quarterback, you need great wide receivers. Are there any wide receivers we should be looking out for this year?
Yeah, and, coming off the field, one guy that we wanted to be able to make sure that we continue to pronounce his name correctly is Chad Sabal. He's from Long Beach. Yeah, Sabal. He is from Long Beach. We got a couple of guys that came from there that are both wideouts, and they are going to be the guys that step in and have some experience because we lost some big guys. We lost Jalen Richmond. We lost Jacoby Pointer-Caldwell. And those 2 guys were just dynamic playmakers. So, it's great that we have this quarterback controversy, if you're going to call that. I think it's just a really good thing to have. I think no matter what happens, you're going to see that these guys are going to be able to make plays no matter actually who's out there, as long as they're able to run routes. And that's the cool thing about having offensive geniuses, like I call them, and Seth Dameron and Carl Dean, who are on that side of the football coaching these guys up. And it just seems, and again, this is the same, what we're finding out with the NIL and transfer portal in Division I is what we've seen in JUCO football for years. They're here for 2 years, and we seem to get a new crop of guys that come in. The one thing that's usually a constant, and Kenny was a part of this when he played here, was solid, great coaching. And that's a really good thing about having a guy like Tyler Thompson coming in. He's got that continuity. And so when he gets guys that come in and he brings them into this culture of Renegades football, having dynamic playmakers like Statler and Woods, really it doesn't matter. Like Kenny was saying, it's a good problem to have. You fill in somebody there, they're going to be able to do okay. And watch out for that tight end. We even seen it Jaheim. He is fantastic. It's funny. We were standing there on the sideline as Coach AJ Gass, who's former head coach at Garces High School and CFL All-Star. Mm-hmm. He's back here as our defensive coordinator. He said, you know what? Even though we may not have, recognizable names, watch out for this tight end. He's been a problem for my defense. Next play, he flashes open in the
next play,
and it was a touchdown. And so there's going to be some, and we haven't even touched on the running backs.
Right. And I mean, we were going to get to that here next as well, along with the defense. But talking about this, you mentioned it a little bit when it came to the NIL. Both of you have been around this program a long time. Both of you have been around it with and without NIL. Is there a different feel now, especially with JUCO football, with all these NIL deals on the board? Is there a different kind of mentality that these players are coming in with?
Absolutely, because I think, from a former coach's perspective, what it's doing to these players is giving them a reality check. Mm-hmm. That, many of us, even me, I'm guilty of this. As a senior in high school, I thought I was ready to go to the NFL. I thought I was this great player and that I was just ready for college. And then you get to the locker room on the first day and you see all these grown men in here and you realize, dang, I still got some work to do. The NIL has done exactly that for a lot of these small school guys that thought they were the guy. They now realize that you don't have a chance to go there right away. So how about staying in a more conventional area that gives you an opportunity to blossom? Our roster is loaded with kids that would have probably been other places had we not been in the NIL spectrum right now.
Yeah, and I come from the side of things, on the baseball side of things. Even though I've been a huge football fan for a long time, this essentially looks like now the college scene, the Division I college scene, is your minor leagues. It's your AAA, it's your AA, and you only get so many guys in Major League Baseball who are 19, 20, 21 years old that actually make it to the major leagues, within a couple of years of high school. Otherwise, there are thousands of baseball players that end up in single A ball, in AA ball for a few years. They don't get to the major leagues until they're 23, 24 years old. And this is what Kenny was talking about. The development process takes place at the JUCO level. And what we're seeing is guys like Kenny was talking about that would normally be getting coached and put on, taxi squads, red shirt, gray shirt, you name it. And sorry about these dogs are.
Hey, I'm a dog man.
They're my attack. They're my defense.
He's got something to say.
They normally, again, these guys it would take them a couple of years for them to be able to see the field.
Right.
And now they're able to continue on, play in front of their families, kind of save a little bit of money in the process, and play Saturdays right here in Bakersfield, which is really cool. And then they get their opportunity. I mean, we've seen it with guys that spent a year or two in the program. Carson Woods ended up at North Texas. He came back. He's trying to hone his skills. Logan Goodspeed is going to be a standout at Fresno State. Jalen Richmond is at Murray State. These are guys that are going to be able to make a difference elsewhere.
Ian Jernigan coming back. This is the guy that played at San Jose State, had some success, and now he's back. Like, think about having a locker room filled with guys that had that next level experience that can come back and be leaders and tell guys, hey, man, you got a lot of work to do, because if I'm back, what do you think you're going to do?
Absolutely.
Exactly. And, with our community, we always come together. We're always a big, BC Renegade fans. And we talked to a local former Renegade, Chad Hathaway, who's set up a kind of a nonprofit to help out the sports over at Bakersfield College and junior college. So if you'd like to jump in and help out with BC sports, just go to 1913.com. You spell out the word 19 and then 13.com. I've already got my my BC sweater ready for the winter. But, I'm a defensive guy. Kenny, we talk a lot during the season, but how's this defense starting to form?
Ooh-wee. You got me right there, Steve. I mean, from a standpoint early in my career, I've always wanted to be an offensive guy until you find coaches like the great Jeff Chudy. And the reason why I'm bringing up Coach Chudy, because he's also one of the assistants who's been assisting Coach Tyler Thompson.
Yep.
He also trained in Coach Tyler Thompson, right? Coach Thompson. So you have these genius defensive minds that taught young men how to read quarterback drops and correlate the drops with the routes to teach you how to be a scientist of football on the defensive side. That's what has me the most excited about this season, without even mentioning a name, right? We have some of the most genius minds in Coach Chudy, Thompson,
Gas,
James McGill, Gas. I mean, James McGill was the number 1 DB in the nation when he played as a Renegade and went to K-State and was all Big 12, right? And Deron Mackey, who was my linebacker I coached him as a linebacker on our 2006 team and watched him go on to Boise State, right? And played big time Division I college football and all these huge bowl games. These are the guys that are leading on the defense. Coach Duncan, right? Great defensive line mentality, gets guys to play above their potential. I haven't even started talking about a single player, and I'm already excited about the defense. So just imagine how these young players like Chase Furtado, our second-year secondary guy, Aiden Moreno, who's been a guy that's been a fly on the wall in all facets of the team, being a former offensive guy. Now he's our starting safety.
Tyler Lewis.
Right, Tyler Lewis. Our safety position is the quarterback of the defense. What better way to have leadership than having a former quarterback play safety so he can break down and analyze everything that's coming? I think the best safeties are former quarterbacks who just had athletic ability and can tackle. That's what I'm excited for.
Like James McGill, former driller. James
absolutely.
McGill was an absolute problem at quarterback and then ended up going to BC, becomes one of the best safeties of all time in BC. K-State, and now he's back coaching. This guy is able to see, and again, this is what was really exciting. It's funny because I work with his mom, and I found out from James. I find out from James that he's going to go back to the coaching staff. And I said, I told his mom, I said, "Hey T, how you like about how she calls it fat, what everybody calls fat. How do you like how he's going to go back up to BC and coach?" She's like, "He hasn't told me anything about that." I said, "Well, break out your BC gear again. You're going to be back up there every Saturday." And she said she was happy about being up there. So, yeah, these guys have amazing leaders on the coaching staff. But Kenny has said it, it just seems like every single year over the past 4 years, you've had amazing players that have come from this program and Logan Bowers. And then last year you had Martinez and Cannibal. Yeah, these guys were just, however you say his name, he was a beast. So these guys all seem like it was like the next guy up, and I'm excited. And they were just giving Reedley and Kalinga fits.
I'm glad you name dropped Logan Bowers because I have a weird connection to that. I coached him when he was an 8th grader, and when I tell you this kid came in. He looked like he was bigger than me. I was in college and he looked like he could tackle me. And I'm just seeing his development, especially with BC, with what you guys have been able to do and harness out of him, was great to see. And honestly, I want to touch on something before we move into the season opener this weekend. You've mentioned multiple times this new head coach and all the coaching lineage that has come from it and has come back, all these former players who have come back and now are coaching with this organization. How does that feel? I mean, Kenny, you've been in this situation being a former coach. How does it feel being a coach, especially him in this situation as a head coach, with some of your head coaches now underneath you? You are now their boss, and ultimately they come to you for the final say rather than the other way around.
And I'm glad you highlighted that because really a great team is a culmination of people who are willing to accept direction for the betterment of the overall process. So when you have a situation like that, it's very normal. I can go back 20 years, to my coaching staffs when we had people like the great Coach Kelly, who was a COS icon, step down from COS to come in and be an assistant offensive line coach when he's a Hall of Famer. And at the time, as players, we're like, man, why would you step down from a head job to come in and be an assistant? It's because they all have a deep-hearted love for the process and just being team guys. One of my favorite things to say is it's not about the name on the back, it's about the name on the front. Mm-hmm. And the best coaches don't have any ego associated with where they are on the totem pole when it comes to making the team great. And that's the most beautiful thing for me, to see Coach Chudy on the sideline taking direction from Coach Thompson. And of course, you know, Coach Thompson is definitely taking direction from Chudy in the past. So there's a ever existing flow of the yin and yang of past and present coming together to make greatness. And I think that's the only way a team really comes to its full potential, when you have old leadership, new leadership, and the players coming together so it all works. It definitely is a symbolic moment for me seeing it happen, because I remember coming in as the youngest coach on the staff and seeing coaches that I played against be assistants under my head coaches at the moment. You know, when Chudy was the head coach and I was working under him, and seeing coaches like Kelly and Coach Thorpe. Dave Thorpe was, you know, perennial leadership guys for years in this community, willing to accept direction from a younger guy and make us champions.
That's interesting. I've always been curious about that as a fan looking in. I've never been able to coach at that level, obviously, and it would just be a weird dynamic, right? Just somebody coming in that you have leaned on for so many years to teach you how to properly do this and how to properly play, and now they're leaning on you at the end of the day. I mean, it's just interesting to me. So let's talk about this season opener this weekend. How are we feeling? How are we looking? And should we be looking out for anything major with this matchup?
I think it's actually a good matchup to be able to start the year off with. You know, Santa Ana. Kenny and I talked about this a couple of days ago, that Santa Ana is going to be coming into this game with a lot of emotion, kind of a lot of a lot of energy. You know, they're playing in their home. They're playing on their home field. They actually just lost their coach from a couple of years ago. He actually passed away in the offseason. He had to step down, I believe, a year ago. They had an interim coach, and then they hired a brand new coach who's been on the staff, but he just kind of stepped up. And so they're going to be, they've got a purpose this year. They've got somebody who they're playing for. But from what we could tell, they didn't have a roster up, but they do have a quarterback that's going to be coming back. He's a sophomore, more of a mobile quarterback, kind of undersized, about 5'11", 6 foot. Wasn't necessarily a big passer, only about 118 yards a game. He ran for just about 40 yards a game on top of that. But he's got one receiver, no relation to Keyshawn Johnson, but his name's Keyshawn Johnson. He's about his only returner that's coming back as far as wide receiver. But he does have a tight end that's a difference maker. He was the number 3 receiver on the team. And they got a return specialist and a DB in Malachi Bay, who's a big-time recruit. He was a D1 recruit that came back to Santa Ana to be able to play. So they're going to be decent, but remember, they actually were down as a program. We haven't played them in 12 years. They were down as a program. They were kind of relegated to a lower league, the American League, and now they're coming back up into this new 8-team league that we've got, or 8-team conference that we have. So I think it's a good test right out the chute, but based off of what I've seen, and I'm sure Kenny will probably talk about this too, I'm very confident that our team's going to come in, willing to or ready to prove something.
He may not have any connections to Keyshawn, but how much you want to bet he was named after him?
I would be willing to put money on that. It's about the right time.
I'm telling you, dude.
But also, guys, this team in Santa Ana, they were predominantly run, but this new coach is a former quarterback. He's a class of 1994 guy. He threw for a lot of yards and had a successful career at Eastern Kentucky. So though they were predominantly run last year, anytime you get a quarterback as a head coach, that can also change, right? So we have no idea what kind of offense they're going to come out with. We haven't seen any film from their scrimmage. So it's definitely going to be a situation where we better be ready. It's a new team, new blood. They have something to play for, and a coach that they lost in past years, of course. But you definitely better be ready, because this is a team with great history. They've won 3 national championships. We've won 3 national championships, right? They're a historic Mission Conference powerhouse in the 60s. We were a former Mission Conference powerhouse in the 60s, right? So a lot of symbolisms between the two programs, but I'm definitely excited to get going this weekend. I'm more excited for our team than I've been in a long time. This is my 9th year with the broadcast, and I swear every year I find a new excitement. And this year is definitely going to be historic.
Yeah, one other excitement I'm ready for this week. I told Steve I'm ready for the bumper music on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
So he brings it up. So we are, our sister station is the home of Renegade Football. So you can catch, if you can't make it out, obviously this week we're out in Santa Ana. You can catch all the games right here on Kern Radio 96.1 FM. And starting this Saturday, and the away games I get to chill with Rob and Kenny. So I like to mix in some old school bumper music just to have fun with it. And these guys are always exciting to not only listen to football with, but these guys are just great local guys. And
boom is so iconic that they have influencers already taking it from him. Boom! He can't even use it anymore. They copywritten it. Real quick before we let you guys go, last 2 minutes. It is the start of college football across the country. Is there any game that you guys are really excited to watch? Personally, I can't wait for Texas, Ohio State. That's going to be huge.
Texas, Ohio State. But I'll tell you what,
Florida State, Seminole in it.
Florida State, Bama this weekend.
That's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Great way to start the season.
And I'm surprised. I'm surprised that ESPN did not send off Coach Corso this week at Florida State, Bama.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
Texas, Ohio State's a big game, but take him down to Tallahassee.
Am I going to be the only one that's going to be crying though when that man walks off for the last time?
No,
I mean,
no, I will.
I cannot get over this. I really
Chris, I got to tell you, I watched the ESPYs this year. I watch it every year. I've had the ESPY assignment before where I'm wrangling talent. But to watch the tribute that they did for Coach Corso, I was crying like a baby, man. He made me so proud to be a broadcast journalist. Like, and I always tell people this. Yeah, as kids, we dreamed of being football players, and we wanted to be the star on the field. But I'd be lying to you guys if I didn't used to emulate the greats like Pat Summerall and John Madden as we're watching games and talking the game. Before I ever played my first down of tackle football, I used to emulate the greats. So Coach Corso is definitely one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
DB Corso.
Everybody wanted to be Corso.
Not so fast, my friend.
Everybody growing up wanted to be Corso and put the mascot head on. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. If you want to hear this Bakersfield College game, once again, listen out on Kern Radio this weekend on Saturday. We got to take a break, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m.